What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode on the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to a little bit of what Joe Rogan was talking about, Elon Musk taking over Twitter. And let's get right into it.
The way that the news is presented, the way that they talk about this, and then they try to thread in all the other things that are part of their case against, like, Democrats against Republicans, Republicans against Democrats. Like, they all, like, no one can just talk about one thing. You have to have this whole word soup of your stance in the world, and you got to be on this side or that side. And
well, it's because we're so close to the midterms.
I know, it's so annoying.
It's a week away.
I know.
You know, so everybody's freaking out.
I know.
Everybody's freaking out.
Political stuff.
People are mad at me because I said it's going to be a red wave, like the elevator doors open up on The Shining. And they're mad. I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying this is what I see. Like, you got to recognize what's happening, folks. People are getting sick with this woke ideology getting crammed down everybody's fucking throats.
It's the worst.
And if you don't think that's the case, you're probably on that. You're on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did woke culture get hijacked by progressivism? Because woke, when it first came out, like, oh, you're woke, you knew about more conspiratorial stuff, like how stuff is actually run, and you've done research and stuff and actually became woke on how things are run in this country, like who runs pharmaceuticals and how they don't cure people, stuff like that. The woke culture was a much different perspective. Now it's more, oh, you're woke if you say pronouns for a certain part of the LGBTQ community. That's not woke. That's progressivism. And the progression, in my opinion, is taking a downturn where it's taking our rights away instead of empowering us further. Like compelled speech. That's not freedom of speech. That's quite the opposite. That's why Jordan Peterson, when he had that fiasco, which made him famous, about the compelled speech, that's why he became famous. But people don't understand. He was not combating the LGBTQ community directly. He was combating the fact that he doesn't want the government having the ability to compel his speech, because then we'll have a society that is too controlled. You'll lose literally your freedom of speech because now the government can dictate what you can and cannot say.
There's a big
that
difference.
Should never happen.
There's a big difference between saying that you can't say something because it's dangerous and then saying you have to say something. Big difference, because now you are forcing people to say things, and that's controlling free speech.
Yeah, think of it this way. Think of a world in a totalitarian police state where you name one person the wrong pronoun and you're going to jail. Because that's what we're looking at when we lose our free speech.
Yeah. By the way, Twitter was banning people for misgendering, even if it was accidental. So you could have, there was one case of a person coming out and they said, you know, I want to be he, she, just as an example. I don't remember the exact context, but they said, you know, now I'm a he, she, or now I'm a he, him. Let's say. And then literally, like, people started getting banning for misgendering. And then like 4 to 6 weeks later, they were like, you know what? I want to go back to she, her. And then people continued to misgender and continued to get banned because now they didn't know what to call, you know, this person. So it's like, you know, if you have such loose terms, you're obviously going to create this world where people don't know what to even think of you, and they have to create all these presuppositions. And
yeah, and also let's move away from you get to decide what you are, and let's move more towards you were born this way, that's why you are this way.
You don't think there's something really wild going on?
What's sad is that I used to really be so scared to talk about this stuff. And like now I'm at this point where like I got nothing to lose. I mean, like I don't it's just like having logical conversations around this stuff. Feelings are not facts.
It's when she's talking about feelings are not facts. Imagine just for a second if the world was purely emotion based. literally no one would be wrong, right? So it's like, where do we draw the line between Adolf Hitler and a normal person with good, upstanding morals? You can't, because it's based on feelings. So to Adolf, he was right. Also, I think feeling loss, like losing, is a good thing. Some of my biggest growth periods in my life were very traumatic experiences. Something I kind of erased because I don't even like to think about it, because once you have like a traumatic experience, the point of having it is that you need to extract the lesson from it that you learned and then move on and then live in the present. But when I was 15 years old, I had to have 4 procedures, brain surgery, and very traumatic experience. It was extraordinarily painful. Wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. But I grew insanely from that experience. And, if people are running in the Olympics, not everyone's going to get a gold medal. Not everyone's going to get a silver medal. Some people aren't going to get medals at all. But I think that is what drives motivation. That is what allows people to grow. If we have like participation medals for everybody, that removes from the entire experience.
Yeah, what's the point in being the best if everyone gets a medal?
Yeah.
There needs to be some people that win and some people that lose, and that's especially true in a capitalistic society. I mean, in capitalism, outside of sports, if you're used to in sports getting a participation trophy just for participating, you didn't win anything, then that's going to translate when you go to corporate America. That's why there's so much entitlement now. Like Gen Z, when they're getting hired, they're so entitled without any work experience.
There's tons of videos about it.
Yeah, because they're expecting something for nothing, like they get in sports and the different things that they're teaching in school nowadays, where you don't have to actually be an accomplished person, but you still get a medal as if you were accomplished.
Yeah.
It's filling them with false self-confidence, which is just as damaging as lying to someone. Because, I mean, if you tell me I'm good at something when I'm actually not, by rewarding me with something, well, that's a negative feedback loop. And I'm going to teach myself to reward myself when I'm not even good at it, So when you're in corporate America, you're going to be expecting to get all these things when you're not producing as highly as the other people. And it's just bad for you overall mentally. It's not a good mental frame.
Remember this, guys. Joe Rogan said it on his podcast. I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Like they're not. And the way that, people are running rampant with their emotions and ruining their lives as well as others, is so dangerous. And I really want to be able to have conversations and also be wrong and be like scientifically told that I'm incorrect, around all of this stuff. But it's so sad. I mean, people are so angry and it's just social contagions and mental illness.
It'd be really weird if we find out this was engineered. It'd be really weird if we find out that foreign countries have been infecting
I'm
social
sure
media.
it is. I mean, like, think about it. Like, think about how easy it is to get wrapped up and not be exactly sure what thoughts are your own from looking at your fucking phone.
Yeah, that's one thing. Don't take for granted how much influence those tiny little 5 to 8 second videos that social media has nowadays. Because there's a saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And the things that you consume, the things that go into your eyes that you see visually, these little TikToks and things,
All that
they
content.
influence you as if they were your friend group, because it's people and it's their opinions. The same way you would sit down with a person and exchange ideas and conversation. These small videos, they do indoctrinate you to a degree, so be careful what you're watching all of the time. If I were to watch something that's heavily politicized 100% of the day, even if I wasn't on that alignment, I would eventually start turning. So be cognizant of what you're digesting as a person, because that is an extension of what's programming you, just like your friends would.
Moral of the story is, like, don't be in an echo chamber.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're rooting for at this point, what your ideologies are yourself. Don't put yourself in an echo chamber. Hear all opinions and then use logic to come to a conclusion. Use research, use studies, use facts.
Yeah. And to have a group of people that you identify with that have a very specific ideology that they support. And if you're on that side, you must support that ideology.
Right.
So when certain things come up, you just say, yes, this is what I'm supposed to say. And you haven't thought about it. And then quietly, when people are alone, they go, well, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cult.
Yeah,
that's a cult.
It is a cult. It's very similar to a cult.
Yeah.
It's very similar to a lot of, mental contagions, because that does happen with people. That's, we're a fucking very strange species. We're very easily influenced and malleable, and we're also like very hard lined. And like when we believe something, we want other people to believe it. We want to win that argument. Win that argument that my idea is the best idea.
I don't feel that way. I mean, I just want to have a good time. I just want to
Dangerous.
I want to give love, receive love, enjoy my life experience.
That's a trait. of being
If there's
agreeable.
hard conversation,
It's more of a female trait.
Yeah. We live in a day and age where, unfortunately, like, regardless if you're an introvert, extrovert, whatever, you got to speak up nowadays, man, because the voice of reason needs to be heard, and it's like we're losing free speech by the minute.
Yeah,
So,
I think now more than ever, it's important to discuss these ideas because the delusion is so great. I mean, if everyone had a really good head on their shoulders and they weren't thinking they were a cat, sure, we don't need to talk about that stuff. But if people are being delusional, I care about my community. I care about the things that people think about on a societal level, because that's how I have to raise my children, is around them.
yeah,
that
it's going to
society.
affect you. It's going to affect
Right.
you. You can't live in a bubble where, like, you only live around people that believe as you do, and you're just ultimately unaffected. The world, the internet has brought the whole world to our fingertips. So we
Right.
kind of are at the slave,
And
we're
I-
slaves of that.
I like the way she thinks of just love and receive love. And I think in a perfect world, that's the best mentality. I think she has the best mentality for like a utopic kind of world where no one lives in delusion. Everyone's perfectly fine. Everyone's happy. That's a good way to live. But if people have a wrong idea about something that could detriment the rest of their lives or the people around them, we should probably talk about that.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility as people in society to correct delusion when we see it,
Yeah,
because
the
otherwise
problem
it'll
is-
infect people.
The problem is evil exists in the world. There's still people that murder and do all kinds of heinous crimes against humanity and society, and
Yeah, it's in the same sense, like you see someone stealing from a store and they're not armed, they're just doing something malicious. As long as it's not putting you in harm's way, a lot of people would be like, yo, why are you stealing that? They would just say something to correct it. Say, in the same sense, we have a responsibility on a societal level to where if someone has an idea that's mentally damaging to potentially a future generation, we should probably address that. Like, hey, that thing that you were talking about, let's talk about that. Why do you think that way? And who taught you that? Stuff like that. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you want us to expand about anything, just leave us a comment, drop us a like, and if you haven't already, drop a sub. It does help the channel.
if you have content that you'd like us to cover, please put it in the comments below. We're Twin Bros React. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.